All right, welcome everyone to more Ori and the Blind Forest randomizer action. We have a lot of matches today and a lot of them to go this entire weekend and for the coming weeks. This next match is between Moose and UncleRonny, a 0-1 match after both of them were defeated in round one of Swiss. On commentary, my name is Grim and I'm joined by Aiko. Hey, Aiko.
Hey, yeah, this is going to be a really good match that I'm definitely excited to see. We've got two very newer to Rando players, but both very skilled players. Moose is new to Rando and new to Ori. He's been playing playing the Ori randomizer for about 2 weeks now, but after a week of practice, he put on a very good show in both his singles and doubles match last week. So I'm looking forward to see what he'll have to show us with twice as much experience as he had last time around.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And UncleRonny, for his part, is the current world record holder in all skills. For those unfamiliar, all skills is the most popular and, by extension, the most competitive category of Ori. And Ronnie not only has a world record, but he has world record by 16 seconds, which is a pretty massive amount for a category that's that competitive. So Ronnie is almost certainly going to have an execution advantage. However, since this is randomizer, it's always a combination of execution and whatever you find along the way. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it'll be really fascinating to see what kind of seed we'll have. And I definitely think that Ronnie's all skills experience will give him a bit of an edge, especially with certain skill sets. Depending on, like, I think if we see an early dash, Ronnie will be very happy.
I agree. I hope we get some charge dashes. Like, stomp cancels are a cool bit of tech in this game that doesn't come up as frequently as I would like in the randomizer. So personally, I'm going to be hoping for an early dash. I don't know how Moose and Ronnie feel, but I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, definitely would like to see that. Stomp cancels would be really fun to see, especially because in randomizer, you can get a fourth double jump, which gives you an extra stomp cancel if you're going for stair cancels.
What do we start with? A map stone.
Map stone. All
That's
right,
a
is it going
very...
to be?
Go ahead, Aka, sorry.
Yeah. Is it a benign map stone where it's just like accompanying the two keystones and you go left, or is this one of those teleporter map stones that's going to give us one of those absolute garbage starts that we all know and love from 2.6.9?
Time will tell. After that initial pickup, there are 3 remaining in logic. The first one is just over here, and it is a keystone.
Keystone.
So that leaves
Right.
2 more. With 1 keystone, it's quite likely that a second one will be found. But as you said, Aiko, it's possible to list all the possible enumerations is sort of impossible. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I mean, it would take far longer than the match, but I think we could go through it.
Well, considering we have like 30 seconds until they get the pickups, I guess we'll say what's most likely. What is most likely, you think?
I think second keystone is most likely. Follow up would be a skill that gets you into BRB and then a teleporter. Hard to rank those because you see them pretty similar. But I do think that like the second keystone is what we're expecting to see either from this or the next pickup. And there it is, the second keystone. So we've got access into a bunch of stuff over by wall jump, including this mapstone turn in. But without wall interaction, there are plenty of things we can't get over there. And ooh, an energy cell. That is pretty interesting.
The early energy cell and the mega energy Ronnie is going to decide to just take the death and not keep it. Moose made a slightly different decision, choosing to alter immediately and then decide not to keep it. So minor time loss for Moose, but that's always a bit of a wash as for whether that underwater pickup is worth keeping or not. In this case, pretty clearly not worth keeping in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, Mega Energies can be nice early because you can use them to open the Death Gauntlet route, but not only do our runners not have wall interaction to get up there, but you'd be coming out of Fake Flippers with 1 health, which isn't enough to get over those brambles anyways. And ooh, Ronnie turns in his map zone, and he just charge jump. That is really fun skill to see early. I'm definitely going to be excited to see how familiar and comfortable these 2 runners are going to be with charge jump starts.
There's always a certain subset of skills that you, not always, but commonly expect to see in the early game, and usually one of those skills is some form of either wall interaction or verticality. What that means going forward is that because we have the charge jump pickup, it could happen, but it's now unlikely that we'll get, say, bash grenade or wall jump or climb too quickly, since we have the ability to traverse a lot of the areas that we would use those abilities for.
Yeah. Speaking of 4, we've got the forlorn teleporter found by both runners in the little loop above wall jump. Neither runner. Okay. So we've got a little split here. Actually, it looks like. Oh no.
Moose is
Looks like
just
we have
juking
both
us.
our runners. Yeah. We've got both our runners heading up into Spirit Caverns. I like this. They can check all 4 things and then drop back down, or all 5 things, excuse me, because Charge Jump makes it easy to access that ability cell. Seeing keystones and some miscellaneous nothing so far, but 2 pickups to go.
How many keystones is that in total? Ronnie only has 2, which means that even if this third one is a keystone, he won't have the ability. It's Glide. Okay. I was going to say
nice.
Ronnie... Yeah, Ronnie doesn't have the ability to continue onto the Spirit Tree. He could key dupe, but again, that's sort of time-consuming. With that, Ronnie and Moose, hot on his heels at this point, are almost certainly going to head back down to Wall Jump and grab that first tree out of a total of 10 we need to activate over the course of the seed.
Yeah, and this is really nice, just having Charge Jump early. I think one of the nicest things about it is it just means that you come down here to Wall Jump Tree, and you can check all 3 pickups. Normally, there's just that one pickup we see Ronnie checking right there, which is an ability cell. You don't get that in most runs because you can often avoid going down to the Wall Jump Tree unless you're really unlucky before you can check have the ability to check the energy cell to the left of it. But that experience often just gets orphaned because rarely do you have Bash and Grenade or Charge Jump by the time you get here.
Well, I'll say this. Sometimes tracking random logic can be difficult. In this case, it's very, very easy so far. Ronnie was just circling his keystones. With that Franco Walk pickup being XP, and Ronnie actually does have 4 keystones, he has an option. Aiko, what are his options?
His options are to go back to that 4 keystone door at the top of Spirit Caverns and open that up and head into Hollow Grove, or to head into Blackroot Burrows, both of which are in logic with the skills that they have. I'm not sure. Oh, this is really interesting. Ronnie's decided to choose option 3. Ooh, I really like this. He grabs that Mega Energy, and now he can just open this up really easily. He'll have energy left to save at the side. I really like this.
Now, Ronnie can't make it past here. The reason is that we don't have any wall interaction. So Ronnie maybe didn't realize immediately, but he can't get out of there. Yeah, that's fine. A quick Altar loses him almost no time. That is really, really clever. Now,
yeah,
to be clear, swimming underwater to grab that Mega Energy and even using the Mega Energy to open the door is not in logic, but Ronnie is, or what I'm trying to say is opening that door is usually valuable later on in the seed. So Ronnie's just going to go ahead and get it out of the way early. And that's something that I kind of doubt Moose will do, since it requires remembering fake flippers after the fact.
Yeah, and then interesting. I'm not sure. Ronnie's just seeing if there's enough ceiling in this area to jump over, but looks like yeah. So it's honestly like sort of a fair call if you don't remember exactly what the room looks like. There are a lot of places in Ori that the foreground is all right. So Moose tried to do the charge jump backtrack through to get back to the top of Blackroot. However, without wall jump or some form of wall interaction, you have to take a damage boost to do it, and he ended up not having the health to survive the damage boost, so he has to altar out and is entering. We had a little sync there with Moose and Ronnie. Moose entering Blackroot the second time as Ronnie enters it the first time.
This is going to put Moose over on the left in a little bit of an early lead. Again, keep in mind Ronnie does have his Moon Grotto door open, and that may come into play later on. A very common play involving that 4 energy door later in the seed is to altar and head to Grotto while simultaneously checking a number of pickups in the Death Gauntlet. So if that, or I should say, if there's anything valuable in the Death Gauntlet room, Death Gauntlet itself, then that's great news for Ronnie.
Yeah, for sure. And what's really nice is because they have charge jump, he can even check out the Death Gauntlet roof while he's there. One of the things that's really nice about or I think that's really nice about having Death Gauntlet open also is there are times when you like can figure out that Moon Grotto's in logic, but getting there via the logic's intended path is just a really long. Ooh, that
was really scary.
Yeah, there is a little safe zone before the spikes where Ronnie fell down, but Ronnie showing us that charge jump backtrack with the damage boost. He had enough health, so he makes up some time there against Moose as they're racing through Blackroot. Moose still ahead.
I want to draw attention to the difference in execution. Ronnie caught up a lot of time on Moose, which was not solely due to execution. It was also due to Moose taking a death. But this is sort of what we expected to see. Moose on the left still does have a little bit of a lead. He will be reaching the dash tree first, but this lead is rapidly dwindling.
All right, and we've got Our second tree and first dungeon key for Moose, it is the Gumon Seal.
That's fascinating because that's the Gumon Seal and the Forlorn Teleporter, and the reason those two things matter in combination is that even if you find the Forlorn Teleporter through an item pickup, it's technically not in logic to go there until you found the Gumon Seal, which we now have. What that hopefully will tell both runners is that Forlorn Ruins is almost certainly the next place to go.
Yeah, I definitely think that Forlorn Ruins is potentially in logic. I'm not sure how much of it in logic without any wall interaction.
The map alter is in logic with
Yeah.
charge, jump, and glide, and guess who has a map stone?
Looks like
That's what I'm
Ronnie has
thinking.
a-
I would
Yeah.
bet money the map stone is progression.
However, they do have they can do Moose's showing off the boulder escape.
He
save
actually
anywhere.
wait, he got wall jump? Okay, with wall jump he can. I was gonna say you can charge jump over the boulder, but to get past the crushers without dash is not in logic. However, you can go up and around, which wouldn't be in logic without wall interaction, but with wall interaction, it I believe becomes in logic.
Yeah, I think so too. And wall interaction was the crusher experience, which Ronnie skipped. And there's Moose grabbing his Mapstone 2, which may have only been in logic from Forlorn. But that Mapstone 2 was Charge Flame. So now Moose has plant access in addition to having that wall interaction. So those are going to be both really nice things that Moose is going to be happy he went down to Boulder Escape for.
That charge flame pickup is important for not only just breaking planes in general, but specifically for where we are in the seed. Moose is going to be able to use charge flame to get to the charge flame tree and not use 4 keystones because he can then use charge jump to get up to the spirit tree area, right?
Oh yeah, this feels really good actually for Moose. Definitely and it looks like he's going for it. So a clever bit of routing.
Sorry to interrupt, Ronnie, the 4 keystone door we just mentioned, Ronnie just opened it because he did not go down to that boulder area and get charge flame. So this might matter later on. Keep keystones in mind as the seed continues. Moose is going to have 4 more of them than Ronnie.
Yeah, and that's going to be a real nice, just like advantage to have. And like this pathing from Moose, I think it's just like more efficient to check these trees and get through this area. He can even like skip this cutscene with no problems, because like skipping the cutscene is dangerous, but it's a lot less dangerous if the charge flame roof isn't there, because you can just take the like 15-second time loss of going to the going from spawn instead of from the grotto teleporter.
Yeah, that's something that has been brought up in other races, but yeah, just to make it clear, well, I guess you did kind of make it clear. It's very tempting to take that teleporter, and it actually is faster to skip it, assuming you only have to come back here once. We'll see if Moose decides to skip it. No, he's just going to watch the cutscene as well. So he could have skipped it, you're right, just decided not to.
I actually like that. I didn't see Moose's energy, but one thing I actually ran into just before this is that skipping this cutscene occasionally makes it so that you cannot, some of your skills, most notably Charge Flame, won't work until you save and reload, but that costs an energy. And so if Moose wants to go left into the like valley entrance area, he's going to have to Charge Flame that door open.
And then he
meanwhile,
wants Ronnie left over for the plant.
Yeah.
There's so many little energy considerations, and that's where getting the early charge flame is nice for the ability to break blue plants, but getting grenade is arguably much nicer.
Oh yeah, but the fact that they have 3 energy instead of 1 definitely makes this feel a lot more manageable. Unfortunately, Ronnie does not have that charge flame because he didn't get Mapstone 2, and that is really kind of hurting him because that wall jump pickup was in logic, and because he skipped it, he's sort of checking everything else in terms of like where progression goes.
Ronnie also doesn't have wall jump, so I think he went off to the right, maybe tempted to head into Death Gauntlet for a minute before remembering that he still can't get through that poison water area. With that, it looks like Ronnie is heading back into Blackroot, which will... No, he's not. He's going to Forlorn. I was wrong.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, he'll find Charge Flame here, but if he doesn't go back into Blackroot, he's going to be without wall interaction for a long time. All right, Moose showing off some really... all right, he was struggling a bit there, but that shaft is really hard to jump up, and it takes... all of those spikes are one-hit kill for him right now, but he does get up and finds an ability cell for his troubles.
So nothing in the Valley entrance that's valuable. Pay attention to Ronnie on the right. Reminder that mapstones are progressive, so we know that this is Charge Flame. However, with that activated, Ronnie will have arguably an easier time activating additional map alters past 2 after the fact, and he's key duping.
This is fast. I mean, I guess if you come here, you might as well, right? Like,
Well,
he
you might
spent
as well, except that this cutscene to the right takes quite a long time. It's very rare in any seed to see right forlorn because it costs not only 4 keystones, but quite a bit of time for not much payoff. And
I don't think
I
he's
go,
going to do right forlorn. I think he's just because he's like, okay, I already used the teleporter. I might as well get some keys for my investment. That's my take on this because he can't do anything at right forlorn. He could activate Wind Restored, but other than
he
that,
can't get through the stomp area. You're
yeah.
right.
So I don't think that would be the play. So yeah, okay. So he just turns in the mapstone again, and now that his keystones are restocked, and he has Charge Flame, he is back out. And I really like that play from Ronnie. Unfortunate that he missed Wall Jump and is still going to be hurting a bit because of that, but definitely clever.
It's a calculated gamble in the early game. There is, as we've mentioned in many previous seeds, a minimum number of keystones, even with all the sequence breaks in the world. There's a minimum number of keystones that are required to beat the seed, and Ronnie knows this, and Moose knows this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Aiko, there's something like 40 keystones in total scattered throughout the world, right?
Yep, 40 exactly.
Yeah, and so the minimum required is something like maybe 12 or 16, something like that. It's not that much, far less than 40. However, those 40 can be virtually anywhere, which means that you might be keystone starved. Ronnie is doing that dupe, sacrificing the time to try to guarantee that he's not going to be keystone starved later on, which might retroactively be a waste of time if he happens to find the keystones. So
yeah,
we just don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely like a complicated thing, but I think just given how fast key duping is there and the fact that he had to go there anyways, makes it feel way less bad in terms of a time investment. All right, and this is actually interesting. Moose, we see, has headed through the spider sack area, and he didn't find too much, but what he did find was explosion power upgrade.
Explosion power upgrade is very nice for combat. It's even nicer for breaking certain plants.
Yeah, and
that may or may not be in sequence otherwise. Well, they're still not in sequence, but they might not be reachable otherwise.
Yeah. It increases the radius of so explosion power upgrade is a pickup added in the randomizer specifically, and it increases the damage and radius of grenades and charge flame. It also reduces charge flame energy cost by 1/2, and that stacks with the talent in the blue tree that also reduces charge flame cost by 1/2, which means that they can get free charge flame.
I want to just point in, Ronnie still never went to that boulder area, which means that even though he got his charge flame, he doesn't have wall interaction. So you see Ronnie taking an unfortunate demise in the poison water just because he can't even make it out of that tiny little pit. So Ronnie has to be careful here, certainly bleeding little bits of time all over the place for not having that wall interaction.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Those pools are just like, you just fall off those posts. And also what's unfortunate is that Ronnie will not be getting his own explosion power upgrade because it was up above the post, and Moose was easily able to grab it with charge jump plus wall interaction, but Ronnie can't get that extra distance. So he's actually going to go through this ISIS area.
That's going to kill him. Yeah, those spikes deal 3 damage. A lot of the spikes in the game deal variable amounts. Not in that they are RNG dependent, just different spikes will deal different amounts of damage. Those ones deal 3, and we're still stuck at 3 health.
Yeah, definitely the 3 health. We're seeing that take its toll on both runners. Moose was having some problems with it earlier. And yeah, Ronnie not really able to go through Death Gauntlet or the Iceless area. It's technically possible, I think, with Clyde, but it's really precise. We'll see if he decides to try and go for it again.
Did you see what Moose just found? It's a 4-letter word, starts with B, and it ends in ash. Very valuable, and well, just very, very valuable. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So Moose makes a save and then immediately remembers that he's got to do a cutscene skip here. So rather than wait for the rekindle, he runs back up and opens a save anywhere on it. I really like that.
This is just becoming so tricky. To be clear, Ronnie over on the right doesn't know where wall jump is. It's not like he's making an enormous mistake by not getting it because he doesn't know where it is.
I gotta interrupt you. Moose just found Stomp. So Bash and Stomp are right next to each other over to the right side of the Ginso tree, and that is 300 experience underwater. So do not expect to see clean water anytime soon. But so wow, this is just...
Let's take a second and break down what just happened. First of all, with Stomp, as you said, right side is in the logic. Moose also was able to use Stomp and Charge Jump. He could also have used Bash. He had multiple options to get here into Swamp. At the same time, just for people who may not have watched Ori before...
Oh, that's so interesting.
I was literally about to ask you why clean water wasn't going to be found, and then I was proven wrong instantly. That's incredible.
Wow. That is actually incredible. Not only was that an EXP value unusually high for what we just saw, but that is the only underwater location that clean water can be found in standard logic. And the further funny thing is that we saw Moose stomp in there, get clean water, and then die to poison water. And the reason that happens is because in this game, poison water is the same as the same damage type as being out of breath. So jumping in poison water is the same as jumping in water with no breath. So if you don't have the water breathing pickup, you will still take damage in clean water if you got it while you were underwater, which is what happened to Moose. Incredibly rare in standard.
Well, this is good. Moose is really starting to run away with this. I think that the early find on Charge Flame and Wall Jump are really paying off. Ronnie has unfortunately been wasting quite a bit of time, not necessarily in his searches, but in trying a lot of things that he wasn't sure were necessarily possible, such as trying to get through the Death Gauntlet without wall interaction. I don't even think he can get up here without a rough damage boost without wall interaction. Meanwhile, Moose has just been rather efficiently clearing the world, is starting to run away with not only skills and resources, but trees.
Yeah, Moose just showing us, honestly, really great routing in terms of the skills he picked up and what he's getting out of them. Definitely making he got Stomp and immediately went into the Stomp area, which he could not have done before. So that was some really great on-the-fly routing from Moose.
Well, I think it's at this point, whenever you start to see some of the more power skills in this game, things like we may be having some technical difficulties from Moose. We'll figure that out. But to finish my thought, whenever you start to see some power abilities like skill, like Bash and Stomp, where do you think that's going to lead the runners? We kind of already have to start thinking about go mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at this point, for Moose, what you want to be doing is just hitting trees.
I just want to take a moment. Sorry to interrupt you. I just asked you a question. Ronnie was typing in the SRL chat, intentionally just stopped for a minute based on Moose's game crashing. That's really good sportsmanship. That's great of Ronnie.
All right, now we have them both.
Yeah, they're all good to go. They're going to keep going, but that's very nice of Ronnie.
Yeah.
Carrying on, you can continue your answer.
Yeah, so I think if you're Moose in this situation, there are some things that he doesn't have that would be really nice. He doesn't have an easy way to get to Stomp. He doesn't have an easy way to might have a bit of trouble navigating Sorrow, but he's got the major skills that he needs to complete the game, and so he also has clean water, which means that the final escape. That hard part of the final escape isn't there, so that's a pretty big deal too. So I definitely think that if you're Moose, you want to hit some trees, and even if you're not necessarily comfortable with this go mode, get more info about where the dungeon keys you need are, so you can do digging in areas that have dungeon keys in them as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's that clean water. It's especially good you brought it up because we're still on low health. Ronnie is just unfortunately sitting there still stuck on 3. Moose has found 1 additional health cell, so he's up to 4. But the poison water in the final escape deals, well, it's possible to make it through with 4, taking 4 damage, which means that if Moose found health regen, whatever, I don't feel like going through the math. The point is that clean water is going to make it much, much safer.
Yeah, definitely. So Moose is going to be very happy as that. It also opens up some nice pickups. Ronnie now has his 4th energy. Moose is not doing the save anywhere drop in. I kind of like that.
But he can't keep it without wall interaction. That's the catch.
Oh,
so Ronnie's going to get an altar. Yes,
that's absolutely worth it.
Well, I can say yes. I agree, it's worth it, but it's also a time sink. I mean, you get dash, so presumably you make a lot of that time back. That's a pickup that I doubt Moose will find, since Moose is pretty much already skipping pickups. He'll be able to full clear the seed with this. No question about it.
I think the only way we don't see Moose, getting that is if we get a clue that if one of the dungeon keys ends up being a grotto, and if it is Moose, and Moose finds out early, that could be pretty big, because I think otherwise it is unlikely that we'll see. Oh, Ronnie got his wall jump. Oh, it's gotta.
It feels good because now you have wall jump. It feels bad because you now know that you might have to backtrack through a lot of your areas. Ronnie decided to exit and reload his save just to pull up a save anywhere to skip the boulder a little bit more easily, rather than getting crushed by a crusher.
I
Moose,
think
meanwhile, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Moose made it to double jump tree, so without the water vein, he can't go into Ginso tree. He'll probably be going, well, either left side first or back to Black Root. Yep, he's going to hit Black Root first for the Light Grenade tree.
Yeah. So I think what Ronnie did there is I think he was fine getting out of it, but I think the play was actually that he noticed that the Frankie was going to die, because when he exited and reloaded, it was when he like the Frankie came on screen. And he doesn't have Stomp yet, nor does he have Climb. So that Frankie, killing that Frankie would be, from his point of view, irresponsible, because he might want it. He doesn't know that he doesn't need it for a lure later.
So let's see. Ronnie finding wall jump is certainly a pretty big get, but Ronnie is still missing two very important skills that Moose, his opponent, does have, namely Stomp and Bash. Moose having dash, to be clear, not Bash, would be very valuable, especially for Sorrow Pass. He could do the rocket jump trick to break some of the barricades. But apart from that, even having that dash find, I don't think it's going to let Ronnie catch up. I kind of feel bad calling the race so early, but Moose is effectively rushing trees already, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I think what we're gonna have to look at is where are the dungeon keys, right? Because that I think
that's
is
a good
just
point.
Be
that's a very good point.
Definitely a chance to be a big equalizer. I think that, like, if the dungeon keys were on like trees, if we were secretly playing limit keys, I would absolutely be pretty comfortable calling the race for Moose, because unless Ronnie makes a beeline for where we know Stomp and Bash are, he is going to be pretty far behind without those skills. And Moose is definitely going to be able to just keep checking trees off. But really, it's just all going to, a lot of it's going to have to come down to where those dungeon keys end up being.
It's pretty fascinating, to be honest, and I think you'll agree with me. It's pretty fascinating that we haven't found a single dungeon key yet. I mean, the dungeon keys can be anywhere in the world except for, gated, like you can't have the water vein be in the Ginso tree. But apart from that, they can be anywhere. And ordinarily, when you have two runners both checking as much as these guys have been checking, you might almost expect to just find one of them randomly, but we haven't.
Well, I mean, we did find one, just the one that nobody cares about, right?
Oh,
we got the good one seal. But okay, so we got a couple things going on there. On Moose's screen, we saw that the Sunstone is in Valley. That was his 6th clue. We don't know where the water vein is yet, but Moose, I think, is probably going to want to head into Valley. And Ronnie found Climb. So that's going to be really nice. That means that he has an effective Stomp substitute, and will give him grenade jumps if he finds grenade.
It'll also make the final escape easier. I mean, at this point with this skill set, the final escape is not going to be too bad anyway, but being able to climb charge jump makes getting through one particular portion of the final escape rather free, to be honest.
Yeah, I think definitely having Climb is going to do a lot for his position. Ooh, it gets squished.
That's not too bad a death.
Yeah, it's really not. It's like 10 seconds maybe with... Oh, wait, no, it is actually a really bad death. We are mistaken based on temporal proximity and position, but he in fact is farther back in the past and has to... Oh, okay, Climb was there, so he doesn't have to go through the entire thing.
Well, I'll say this. Good memory by Ronnie. When someone plays Randomizer a lot, you can start to sort of immediately categorize pickups as either this matters or this does not matter. What that means in practice is that it can be very easy to forget in an area like that Grotto Vault which pickups are worth getting again, and Ronnie clearly remembered. He just went and got Climb and skipped the rest.
Yeah, I really like seeing that. Definitely quick thinking from him to mitigate the loss from an unfortunate and really just like awkward death. Like that was, he like dashed and like his dash just happened to time out at the end of the crushers in like the absolute worst position for him. And it just all ended up... Oh, Ronnie's being very thorough. He's going down here checking the mini boss. Unfortunately, he has not been as thorough with the area above the teleporter. His Moose is going to stomp Kuro and pick up his feather tree.
So what does Moose have left? I mean, if you look at the tracker in the bottom left screen, the outer trees are either lit up or not. Those indicate which trees Moose still has to visit. So he's about to pick up Feather. He's already been to Light Grenade. After this, he only needs to go through Misty Woods to get to the Climb tree, then through Sorrow to get to the Charge Jump tree, and then wherever the Water Vein ends up being, Moose is going to have to go through Bash, whereas Ronnie still has to do the entire left side. He hasn't been to Stomp. He hasn't been to Light Grenade either.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. We're seeing Moose is going to go around, I think, maybe to head into Sorrow or to check... it's to check pickups here. Okay, because Moose was flashing his Alt P for a bit, so I think that's him saying I want to make sure I check all the locations here to look for the Sunstone. And
well, that's a reasonable check because he has to go up to Sorrow anyway, and this is not the usual way that speedrunners go up to Sorrow Pass, but without rocket jumping and without wind and without triple jump, you do have to do the more casual approach. Moose just skipped a pickup, though, unless he checked it before and I missed it.
I don't know. I didn't see if he checked it before either, so we'll see. Hopefully that's not the Sunstone. If it is, definitely it feels bad. Oh, and this is interesting. I wonder if Moose knows that the experience above here counts as Sorrow and not Valley. This is definitely one of the... Oh, he turns around. We'll see. Okay, I think he's setting up for a Sorrow bash.
I guess one way or another, we know that pickup next to the Wilhelm Frog isn't the Sunstone because it's not Valley. Also, a good point by Hydra, who is both restreaming and helping us on the tracking side of things along with Ozzy. Moose might have not activated the Valley teleporter. I'm not 100% certain about that. Excuse me. I'm dying. But he might not have activated the Valley TP.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see. That could end up being a pretty rough time loss if he needs to go. I mean, he will need to go back, but if he forgets, Moose.
I want to.
Oh,
yeah. I want to point everyone to the left. There are many ways to break this barricade, but Moose doesn't have some of the easier ways. He doesn't have rocket jumping. He doesn't have climb, charge, jump. So Ronnie, when he gets here, will be able to use climb, charge, jump. Moose is trying a frog micro ledge. Micro ledge meaning that you can get this green frog perched on a tiny little spot, but it's really, really precise. If you do it correctly, you can bait a frog shot high enough to break the barricade rather than going the long way around.
Right. I'm interested to see what Moose ends up doing here.
He didn't make a save in advance, so his frog will respawn eventually, but he kind of has to maybe maneuver a bit first.
I think he's going to go around, actually. I think...
Moose
I mean,
could,
I'm not sure, but my guess.
Moose
but Ronnie is now...
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ronnie is now in the area where Moose found Bash and Stomp, and this might actually be Ronnie like moving back in the lead. He got Stomp already. He's going to get Bash right now, and now Ronnie has a skill lead. And though he's pretty far behind in trees, depending on how long this takes Moose or where the dungeon keys end up being, Ronnie definitely still has a path to victory here.
He does. Very important to point out, Moose also has the option to do a trick called Terror Break, which abuses a save anywhere to make a save just below the barricade and then effectively carry your charge jump state through a death respawn. Moose has either forgotten about this, which, I mean, I've done that in a race before. It's very easy to do, but that could matter a lot. Yep, he's just going to back out of Sorrow as a result. Back way out of Sorrow as a result.
Yeah, that's really unlucky because if he didn't take that teleporter, that's going to be a substantial time loss. Really unfortunate. Yeah, all right, Ronnie has also found the... Oh, this is interesting. We see Ronnie as soon as he finds the... Ooh. So he's trying to take a fish elevator up to the top pickup, but his rocket jump goes a little wide in not going wide, and he actually just kills the fish with a rocket normal charge jump. And now he gets it, and it's experience. Nice. Ooh, now, all right, yeah.
Just to verify, Aiko, we don't have a clue for the water vein, right? We haven't seen one.
Yeah, no, we have not seen that. Water vein clue will be revealed when Moose gets his next tree, which
well, his next 2 trees.
Oh yeah, right. Obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry. I sometimes forget that or you need the water vein because it gets you access to a tree, so you need all the other trees if that's your last clue.
Yeah, right? Well, I will say this: this Sorrow for Moose is not going the way he wanted it to because he didn't have the ability to break that barricade as fast as he wanted. However, given that Moose needs to find 2 trees before he gets his water vein clue, he could do either Sorrow first or Misty first. Why do you think he's doing Sorrow first?
That's an excellent question. I think the reason he and really a lot of people prefer to do Sorrow or Misty as the last area where you get a clue is that Misty and Ginso. So you will sometimes see people doing this for the Ginso tree when the Sunstone is the missing key and missing clue. Ginso and Misty are very linear areas. You can't really backtrack in them, or if you do, it's a huge pain to backtrack in them. So if you don't know what region your area you like need to do searching, it's definitely with both Misty and Ginso better to check every pickup in that area up to where the tree is, because neither of them have really obnoxious checks before the tree. They'll both have like plenty of annoying stuff, especially Misty after. But what you do is you can just clear everything before the tree, get yourself some resources maybe, or maybe just some EXP. And then you get to the tree, you know whether you have to continue in Misty, continue in Gidso to get that dungeon key you need, or if you can just warp out and go search the location that your clue told you.
Yeah, I want to check in with Moose again. He did a more roundabout method than he preferred, but did make it to this tree. Moose has enough keystones to open the door. Currently, only has 3, and he will need a total of 4 keystones at some point in order to get through the door to the bash tree. But Moose, I'm sure, has many checks. He has the charge jump tree. He has everything to check in Misty Woods to get only 1 additional keystone. So I do not foresee keystones being a problem for Moose unless he gets extremely unlucky.
Yeah, it would really take a stroke of bad luck. All right, Moose is altaring out of Sorrow. Wonder if he will regret that or not, because I think it might be faster to go from Charge Flame to take the route he has to take into Valley, because he does not have that teleporter.
Well, with the Valley teleporter, it would probably be even or maybe a bit faster with the Valley TP. It would be close either way. You're right that without the Valley TP, it's a problem. I wonder if Moose immediately realized that he didn't have the Valley TP. I assume he must have, right? Because he came here again. Yep,
and that's Ronnie finding the Sunstone in the lower Valley area. Moose has the clue, but does not have his Sunstone yet, so that could be pretty big depending on what Moose's clear pattern through Valley of the Wind looks like when he is going for.
You're right. That said, Valley is potentially a difficult clue for runners. The reason is that Valley is a very big area spanning a lot of pickups, and so the Sunstone could be anywhere in there, right? And so it can be hard to know where to search first. That bottom part of Valley is very quick to check 3 pickups. I hope that Moose keeps in mind, even though he's trying to rush Misty, I hope he keeps in mind that he has to find the Sunstone and drops down to the bottom first. If he does, okay, he's not going to do it now, but hopefully when Moose comes back for the Sunstone search, yeah, hopefully when he comes back for the Sunstone search, he'll be able to check that quickly.
Yeah, I think if he didn't get the Valley TP, I would have been worried, but because he has it, yeah. Oh, this is interesting. We're actually not seeing Moose check pickups on the way in to Misty. That could end up biting him if
it could. It's statistically unlikely to. There's sort of an ongoing, I don't know if you want to call it a debate, but an ongoing discussion in the Orlando community about whether you should check items in the first half of Misty Woods. Because here's the thing. Moose, of course, would like some additional skills like double jump or dash or anything, but he doesn't need any other skills to finish the game. The only thing he needs is 1, to get to the climb tree, 2, the Sunstone, and 3, the Water Vein. We know the Sunstone isn't in here, which means that if the Water Vein is anywhere else, Moose can safely skip all of these pickups. The challenge there, of course, is that Moose doesn't yet know where the Water Vein is and won't know until he's already run by a lot of these pickups, right?
Yeah. And honestly, just looking at these screens side by side with Moose just like casually strolling through Misty as Ronnie rockets his way to the grenade tree. Like, I think what we're really seeing here is just what we were talking about before. Like, Ronnie is incredible with dash, with charge dash, and Moose never even found dash because he had no reason to go back to the 2 energy door in Grotto. And that Ronnie, I think, may pull ahead just due to his execution and just like incredible ability to use that skill very effectively.
Well, it's a few things. If you look at the trees, as you said, with dash and with some of the mistakes Moose has made having to, retread a lot of his steps, Ronnie has caught up a lot of time. They actually have the exact same trees now. So even though Moose is going to get to climb long before Ronnie, with dash, Ronnie even pulling off a nice hyperspeed, it won't take Ronnie very long to get in here, and Ronnie already has the Sunstone, right? There's the clue, by the way. Water Vein Grove. Moose still has to find both the Sunstone at the bottom of Valley of the Wind and search through Grove. Ronnie only has to do one of those things, and Ronnie gets to do it real quick.
He certainly does. Yeah, this is just, I think Ronnie's gonna finish Misty in like half the time Moose did, while checking everything, just because. Oh, if he saves, please save.
So,
okay,
Aiko, let's talk for just a second. First of all, let's talk about Moose. He has every single tree except for Bash, which means that he has to search pickups. He is going down to the bottom of Valley. This is great news, although he won't know it for just another few seconds. He's going to get his Sunstone. Let's talk about Grove, though. Water Vein and Grove, what does that mean to you?
It could mean a lot of things. I think that, like, we could actually see a race decided either on someone not knowing the weird grove boundaries, if it's in one of the weird grove boundary places, or on who bites the bullet and checks all of Horu Fields first, because there are 4 pickups in Grove. Ooh, Ronnie taking a quick death, but he had a nice nearby save near it before, so it's not too big a deal. Yeah, he's gonna double bash the spitter shot up so he can make sure that he doesn't leave anything behind in Misty. Does not want to get randoed in that way.
Right now, in order for Moose to win this, he has to find the water vein extremely quickly, because once we get into the Ginso tree, dash is going to be far less impactful since the area is super vertical rather than being super horizontal, but Moose needs to get kind of lucky. He has to find that water vein very fast.
Yeah, and I mean, like, honestly, even if he found it now, if it didn't take, like, if it's in Horror Fields, what I could see Ronnie Moose's path to victory here most likely looks like is it's up here in Horror Fields and Ronnie checks stuff before Horror Fields first, because otherwise I think if Moose found it right now and Ronnie went there decently soon, Ronnie's final escape is going to be a lot faster than Moose's, just because he has charge dash efficiency, and 6 energy.
Yeah, so just pay attention to both sides. Right now, it's a mad hunt for water vein. Also, a friendly reminder that because this is the randomizer and knowledge would be unfair, neither runner is able to watch the other one, so they... Never mind, we got the water vein. When is Ronnie going to hit Horror Fields, and is Dash going to be fast enough to allow him to get it and catch up? That's huge.
This is so crazy. Yeah, Ronnie, I think, checked a few things there that weren't in Grove. I think the Stomp pickup was in Grotto, not Grove, but it really doesn't matter. What matters is whether or not Ronnie is going to... Oh, no, Ronnie hasn't been through Spider Sack.
Well, see, from Ronnie's perspective, this is the correct call. I mean, there's no reason why it should be at that particular water vein location as opposed to any of the others. And Ronnie, I'm sure he's thinking he can go through Spider Sack and then continue in a loop around to Horror Fields if he needs to.
Yeah, no, this
I would make the same play in his shoes.
Yeah, no, this is efficient and good routing at his point. It's just unfortunate because he went through Death Gauntlet and Moose went up and above. And because of that, Moose has already checked a ton of locations in Horror Fields. And that yeah, I don't know, it depends how fast Ronnie can get through this and what Moose's Ginso tree looks like. But yeah, I definitely have to say I'm worried for Ronnie at this point, because even though he's got dash, it's going to take some time.
This has just been such a fascinating race. Ronnie just got his explosion power up, so that's not too important right now, but what the heck, we'll take it. Every skill is something. Well, that's not a skill, but every...
Well,
nice
it's just every
free
free C-Flame is an extra C-Dash, is the way I look at explosion power upgrade at this point.
That's a good way to put it, since C-Flame is still our only way to break plants. Ronnie has to do a stomp to make it up here. It does look like he's heading towards Horror Fields, which means that Ronnie will almost certainly find his water vein very, very soon. Unfortunately, Moose is already to the mini-boss in the Ginso tree. It won't take him much longer to continue all the way up to the top. And Moose, I just looked at his keystone count right now. He does safely have 4, so he's not going to get keystoned.
Okay, that is Bruce Tylee. Doesn't even have to check the keystones here, because that could have been... I guess I'd forgotten that he was only on 3, but yeah, that could have been oh man, Ronnie showing off a little with some... I think that was bash into charge dash to get it. Oh, and Ronnie gets his water vein. Altar's out.
What else, Echo? So we have, from both runners, 10 out of 11 trees activated. There's number 11 for Moose. So Moose has 1 objective remaining, which is rushing to the end. Ronnie has to get through the Ginso tree. He'll be able to do it more quickly, not so much with rocket jumps, but with charge dashing the mini boss, and then he'll be able to go to the final escape. Is that extra dash speed enough to catch up to Moose?
I don't know. And one thing I'm also noticing is it's got to catch up with that, and also account for the fact that he doesn't have the swamp teleporter, because he didn't. Boy. Moose took that vanilla route to get to Grotto, and is really reaping the rewards in a few different ways. Ronnie's
has to watch a Kuro cutscene unless he skips it. Nice job.
Unfortunately, he'll have to skip it twice unless he gets the. He'll probably get the swamp TP for that reason. But yeah, that was really nice. You do not often see. Come on, please remember to get the swamp TP.
We saw a bit of a high five. Ronnie heading off to the right is going to stop by the swamp teleporter, which is the correct play. To be clear, Ronnie does not know that Moose is on the way to the very end. I'm sure he's shaking in his boots a little bit, but he doesn't know for sure. Right now, the saving grace is Moose going to have a lot of problems with Door Warp? Is Moose going to take any deaths in the final escape? I don't think so, though. Moose has a pretty solid skill set.
He definitely does. It's really just going to come down to how familiar is Moose with this specific skill set, because this is 2 weeks of rando experience, right? And one of the things that, like, Yeah, Moose had played for a week before the tournament. We in the interviews after his first match, he's like, "Yeah, I've been playing for a week." So this is him on 2 weeks of experience.
Boy, this doesn't look like a 2-week experienced player. It
Yeah,
looks
that
like
was.
a much more experienced player than that. So
I am terrified of the prospect of running into Moose in week 4 or 5.
let's be honest, dude. Everyone in this tournament is terrifying.
Yeah, big mood. All right, so now we've
Big
got
Moose, agreed.
Ronnie make.
I needed you to acknowledge it. I'm really proud of that joke.
Right,
this is no
for
time for
Grim.
laughter. This is a serious race, Aiko, and we are professional casters. Moose has entered Mount Horror. He's going to be doing door war.
All right, and nice charge dash redirect from Ronnie, saving those bash time stop frames, and he gets a 1 cycle on the boss. Moose, though, gets the first try door warp. Things are looking pretty grim for Ronnie.
Had to do it. You
I
had to
did.
do it. You're not wrong, though. Things do look kind of grim. Ronnie, despite not having the Swamp TP, made his way to the Swamp TP and now into Ginso, so we're going to be having Moose on the left, starting his final escape, while Ronnie's getting there to the right. At this point, Ronnie could, assuming Moose doesn't have any mistakes, Ronnie could maybe reach the final escape. So, let me say this. Eyes left, this all comes down to whether Moose takes any unfortunate deaths. Neither runner could do grenade jumps at the end, either.
Yeah, it's definitely down to the execution here. Although, the thing is, Moose gets maybe less retries than we would expect, because on that single, he doesn't have anything for horizontal speed, which means that, like, he's just going to move through this at just such a slower pace than Ronnie's. Oh no, that's potentially really bad.
Ouch!
No, there's that first death from Moose. I think if we see another death from him, as if you like glance to your right, Ronnie is just making mincemeat of this.
Well, this is where not having double jump comes into play. It's that one column that, if you're not familiar with Ori, you're gonna have to take our word for it. That one column is one of the harder parts of this escape sequence. You can break the barricade using a number of things, like charge dash, which Moose doesn't have, or in this case stomp, or
Oh,
charge
no.
flame. Died again.
Yeah, that's another area that can be really tricky without either dash or double jump, because to get from one bash to the top of that, from the top lantern over to the right, requires a bit of it's just really tricky. You just don't get that much height off of that bash, and so you can.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you because I'm so excited. Continue.
No, I mean, he's struggling with it again, and I mean, this could be really bad because Ronnie is now starting to escape, and he has dash. This
Moose
might
made it through that section. It's all down to this. This time Moose is going to use... okay, nice job. Damage boosted. Use charge jump to get out of there. Moose does have clean water, so he's not going to be able to move very fast. All he has to do is float through here, not touch any fire. He has to be cautious on the fish, although he can either C-flame them or bash right on through. Moose will be able to charge jump up and use Feather to despawn Kuro and float right onto the end. But spawned Kuro!
Oh no! No! He dies! Oh man, that's
We have a lead change on our hands. Ronnie took the lead with several deaths from Moose. Didn't quite get his positioning correct such that he wasn't able to properly despawn Kuro. Ronnie is even using clean water to get this fish out of the water for fish strats. Up it goes.
And he's out. Oh my god, Ronnie takes it back in the final escape.
Unbelievable performance by Ronnie. To say that he wasn't phased is not exactly the right way to put it, because of course Ronnie didn't know how close it was, but Ronnie must have been spooked, and he didn't let it get to him. Played very, very cleanly.
Yeah, I think if Moose makes it through on this attempt, and I hope he will, then what we'll actually see is both players holding right at the same time, and Moose is going to get that notification in speedrun chat that Ronnie is finished while he's still holding right.
That might be where some of the experience comes into play. I don't want to, put thoughts into Moose's head, but like messing up the Kuro despawn are just these little minor things which unfortunately had a pretty huge impact in this race. So yeah, this is going to be potentially heartbreaking for Moose. He got out of the final escape. From his perspective, Ronnie is not done yet. He's probably feeling hopeful, but it's just not going to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, though, honestly, I think if you're Moose, you should be very happy with this race. He showed off a lot of incredible, just like pretty, like really solid execution, great routing. I actually really like a lot of the choices he made. Like Moose really only made what I would consider like one unfortunate mistake, and that was not reactivating the Valley TP. But look at this. If he had remembered to touch the Valley TP, I think he would have won this race. And like that's really incredible. Like when you're going up against someone like Ronnie, who is the world record holder in all skills and got dash when you didn't. That is such,
Well,
honestly, just this.
it's pretty astonishing, dude. It's like watching a sports game and you blame the entire game on one bad call by the ref. It's kind of like in reality, it's usually a whole bunch of things that contributed to that loss. So in this race, like, yes, Moose could have, Ronnie could have done this better, Moose could have done this better. But if you recall, Moose didn't have the Valley teleporter. So with that alone, Moose could have clinched the victory. There's just so many factors that you could point to as time loss here, time gain here. One way or the other, I mean, the final times speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That was tense.
Deep breaths, everybody.
Most of all, Ronnie and Moose, I bet they didn't breathe for that entire escape, so I hope they just take a few deep breaths. In with the nose, out with the mouth, whatever the thing is you're supposed to do to calm down.
It is, in fact, that. Through the nose, out through the mouth.
Well,
you gotta get the breath in through the nose to filter the air, and then out through the mouth to like really get it out of your diaphragm.
Yes, accurate. I want to see if we can get Moose and Ronnie in for an interview. It's always 100% up to runners' preference whether they want to talk, especially after a close race. Sometimes runners need either a few moments to calm down, or they just maybe are feeling frustrated and don't want to talk. 100% at their discretion. But I'm gonna verify if you wanna. I don't know. You always have something to talk about, Aiko.
I do always have something to talk about, and I think for me, like we were going back to like blaming the race on one bad call, but I think actually, if you were going to point to a single decisive thing that happened in this race, it was Ronnie finding dash where he did, because that skill single-handedly clawed him out of what looked like to both, like we both thought this was like going to be an insurmountable lead. And then but Ronnie was just able to make such good use of that dash pickup, and I think that really is what I would say the race hinged around.
Well, with that, let's hear from the man himself. I'm going to pull in both Ronnie and Moose. Let's do that right now. Hey guys, welcome.
Good game, both of you.
Thank you.
I have so many questions, and I want to try to ask them without hopefully spoiling too much of the race, if you want to watch it back or anything. So yeah, first I just want to say GG, and before asking anything specific, Ronnie, let's start with you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling right now? What was your impression of the seed?
It was a very slow start. I mean, missing wall jump in the beginning. I went to not a good. After that, I just did my best to rush.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but I think I got the gist of it.
Yeah.
That's okay. And just I have more specific questions, but Moose, to you next. Just how are you feeling about that seed as a whole?
The seed as a whole was alright. I was kind of afraid when I got the forlorn teleporter in the beginning, but I didn't need it, so
Sure.
I don't really know. Like, my heart is still racing really bad from that escape.
Yeah, that's understandable. That was not an easy definitely like a doable escape, but like there are a couple rooms without double jump, without dash that are just really difficult. Is that an escape you'd had much or any practice with before, or was this like your first or second or third time doing that kind of escape?
No, I had definitely done something similar. I just couldn't pull it off for some reason. And then
Yeah,
I spawned Karo at the end as well. I don't know.
Sure.
So
Well,
it was just bad execution on my part.
That's okay. Ronnie, I have questions for you, but I do have one, Moose, that I just want to ask you. When in that seed did you decide to treat yourself as go mode? Like, was there a particular moment where you started skipping pickups?
Probably when I picked up Stomp, I want to say. Then I just went straight for trees to try to get all the clues.
Yeah.
I kind of skipped some pickups in Valley I shouldn't have as well, but that didn't matter in the end. Yeah, I think after Stomp and Charge Jump and like having everything that I thought I needed to finish, I guess.
Sure. Well, let's toss one your way then, Ronnie. In the early game, you progressed for a bit. You got your charge jump. You went through Blackroot, but then you ended up not continuing down to the boulder area right away, which contained a wall jump among some other things. Why did you decide to leave that boulder area for later in the seed?
Because the rest of the area wasn't in logic. So it also takes time to get these pickups, and I thought not being in logic means I can probably get by without doing it yet.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Aiko, I think I'll toss to you if you have some questions.
So, Moose, we saw you doing a little bit of. Looked like you had a little bit of indecision when you were trying to figure out how exactly you wanted to route out the left half of the map. What was going through your head when you were trying to figure out whether or not to like Aldar out of Sorrow or like continue trying to head up?
Like when I went into Sorrow, I was convinced that I could do Sorrow the normal way, but I then realized that I couldn't break the roof that I tried to break with the frog, and that didn't work out. So I just couldn't make up my mind as to what to do.
Yeah, that can be really hard.
One part of me really just wanted to go and do like the other stuff, hoping to find something. Do Misty and do the Valley Search and whatever. Then I realized that I would have to do Sorrow Bash again and all that shit. Didn't really want to, so I quit out and reload and just went through the left side the normal way.
Sure. Well, Ronnie, one more question to you. In the early part of the seed, you guys got the Forlorn Teleporter and the Gumon Seal, and you ended up going there and doing some key duping. Was your reasoning for doing that key dupe just for safety, or did you have any intention to continue to the right side?
Yeah, it was just for safety. I've had a lot of seeds starved with keystones.
You and me both. Cool. Yeah, that's what we assumed. Just sort of wanted to. It's something that I remember jumped out at me. But yeah, with that, Ronnie, you are going to be going 1 and 1, I think. Am I crazy?
Yep. Well, no. Yeah. He is going 1 and 1.
Yes. Okay. So I could ask the obvious question, how are you feeling about your future matchup? But of course you don't know what that is yet. So I guess I'll phrase it differently and say, is there anything specific, first to you, Ronnie, is there anything specific you want to practice going forward?
Much earlier go mode.
That's fair. What about you, Moose?
I'm still fairly new to Randomizer and Ori in general, so I just feel like I need to do more seeds and get used to different skill combinations and stuff like that still. Not really comfortable enough with that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for what it's worth, we were talking about this a bit on the case, but you do not look like someone who's been playing and is more with this than 2 weeks of experience. And I said that I definitely would not want to run into you on week 4 or 5 if this is only like 2 weeks of rando practice. So I think you're definitely making a lot of progress, and I wouldn't count you out of the bracket just yet, honestly.
Really appreciate that. Thanks.
I agree. Yeah,
no
GG
problem.
to both of you.
GG.
GG.
That was very, very cool to watch. We are going to go ahead and close up shop for this particular race, but fear not, there's another Ori race starting in 1 minute from now, not on this channel, but over on Speed Gaming 4. That's going to be Gecko versus Galaxy, commentated by Shed and Sigma. So if anyone enjoyed that race and you want to see more rando, head on over to Speed Gaming 4. Otherwise, for this particular match, thank you to Ozzy for helping out on the truck and the tracker, and thank you to Hydra for also managing trackers and restreaming, and of course Aiko. That was fun commentating with you.
Yeah, I also had fun. All right, thanks everyone for watching.